how would you introduce yourself?
So I am known as Arsenal Online. I am the owner of Arsenal Studios, and I just make a lot, just do things. I mainly work with Unreal Engine 5 and several games, most notably Ready or Not, Enzoy, and Blood Trail.
You actually wrote the tutorial for Blood Trail modding, right?
Yeah. I have around 45,000 downloads on Nexus Mods, around 10k on mod.io, so in all around 50,000 total.
What are your overall thoughts on the last version of the game you worked with?
I want to say it has potential, you know. I think the potential is there, but in the current state that I worked with it, there's a whole lack of documentation, so using the SDK, just gonna mod in a map like I normally would in like Ready or Not or something, and after doing it the way I normally would, it didn't work. And I still have no idea why it didn't work, because there's no documentation yet.
I'll pop up on screen now if I can find any information about whether there has been updates to the documentation, at least big ones, but it's only being 2 weeks ago. It's not very long for something to be added, and that's about 3 weeks before release too.
Yeah.
How do you expect the release reception to be?
I think the hype for Beyond Sandbox might be a bit high, but that's a good thing because they'll get initial sales. But I think people's expectations are a lot higher than the devs had initially planned on.
Interesting. I've personally seen the shorts and stuff, like the very aggressive marketing. I don't think that that's them doing anything wrong, of course. I just think people might not understand that they've already shown off essentially all of the base game content.
I think that is a big part of it, but like the marketing team for Beyond Sandbox have definitely not lied in any way. Everything they've shown is
they haven't
in the
lied
game.
at all.
I just think that it's mostly the shorts that cover those shorts that give it too much hype, saying it's gonna be the biggest VR game of the year, and you know, even like month one will be pretty bland on mods.
And it's still pretty bare. There are a lot of glitches and some crashing and stuff, and we're only about 9 days from release. How was your experience with the SDK as it was about 2 weeks ago?
The SDK has a lot of content that's not standard with Unreal Engine 5. Trying to figure out when and where to use those custom items in the SDK is quite confusing as of now with no documentation. Like, I know the devs have shown off how to optimize maps for quests using their grid system, and for one, I have absolutely no idea how to use that.
So you think maybe that once there is proper documentation that it might get better?
When there's proper documentation, it will be a lot easier to create mods, especially working mods.
Yeah.
Because you can get your mods working in Unreal Engine just fine. It's just getting them compatible with the game. That's the issue right now for me.
I was trying to make a mod that would make the desktop mirroring camera be like a face cam so that I could record a video or something like I would in Blade and Sorcery. But man, it was rough for me.
Unreal Engine modding as a whole is it requires a lot of experience with just using Unreal itself. I probably would never have gotten into Unreal modding if it wasn't for the co-creator of Single Player Tarkov, who taught me
a lot
of stuff about Unreal Engine modding and how to actually get mods working in games.
That's really cool.
Very talented guy. He knows his stuff.
How do you expect the finished product to compare to competitors like Bone Lab or Blade and Sorcery?
So I think this is going to be the main failing point for Beyond. I mod for 2 reasons. One, because I like the game and I want to alter it to be more personalized how I like it. Or 2, there's monetary value.
That's real.
Right now, Beyond Sandbox has not really either going for it. Like, Bone Lab had a ton of content. Bone Lab and Boneworks both had a ton of content on launch, a full campaign. Blade and Sorcery had full campaign, bunch of extra stuff, and they both had their own...
and on launch at least, yeah. Blade and Sorcery had a really, 10-year early access period.
Yeah, I never played Blade and Sorcery before.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the early access period, but from what I know, this game's releasing not in early access, so...
As a game, is there a niche that you think Beyond can fit into appropriately, or a player base that you think can support it long term?
Right now, the only niche they've targeted is jiggle physics and gore, and I think that would appeal a lot to children, in my opinion. The vast majority of Quest users are 13 and under. I think the game actually has quite a good chance on Quest.
Personally, I think as far as Quest games go, this is totally salvageable. Like, one thing this game is good at is tactile stuff. Like, I have a clip where I push a gun down in the B-roll footage I just captured, where I push the slide down on the table and it racks back. And I don't think I've seen another VR game besides like hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades do that. I think I see this as a good alternative to Pavlov now that that's kind of died out.
The Beyond is the netcode can be iffy. Like I've shot a few people sometimes and they don't die, and I die. In Pavlov, the guns just kind of they work with you. In Beyond, the guns feel more like toys that are interactable. And actually using them in a PvP manner makes the guns feel like they're fighting against you.
I think a lot of these games, the kind of it's a harsh term. But there's not like a better word, the tech demo type VR games. They often have these like big primary caveats, like in Blood Trail, it's like you can't grab enemies with 2 hands or sprint. I think for this game, it's probably going to be the gripping, because it's so hard to grab the thing that you want to grab.
It is, yes. You aim your hand at something to force grab it or something, and like if you can't figure out the aim, you gotta grab it in real life, it still doesn't grab it.
Yeah, I see the vision of the procedural grabbing, and I think that it will totally eventually be in a good place where you can grab anything any way you want to.
I have some questions for you.
Oh yeah?
What are your thoughts on the price tag?
Price tag is like $20, right?
Yeah.
I think that'll fly on the Quest store, but I don't think it'll fly on Steam.
I agree with you there. On the Quest, games are typically
so expensive,
priced, no matter how much is in the actual game. Would you recommend this game to your friend?
No.
Yeah.
What about you?
Big no.
I would recommend it to someone who really wants to develop a game for free, and that's the end of the sentence.
I don't know anybody that wants to do that.
What do you think is the best feature of Beyond?
Oh, definitely the physics. It was great to mess with the first time I booted up the game, but about after the first time, it got old really quickly.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good baseline. Like, they've clearly done a lot of work to make the bones of everything accurate.
And being a zombie chiropractor also felt really good. But I will say this though, I believe Beyond Sandbox will suffer a similar fate to Operation Harsh Doorstop in the beginning. Operation Harsh Doorstop was a project led by a YouTuber, and the main goal of it was to create a tactical FPS modding playground. On launch, there was a significant lack of content, and the game got review bombed heavily. The game took around a year and a half to recover from the review bomb and actually start receiving positive feedback once it got more content from the developers. But now, here's where things differ though, is that Operation Harsh Doorstop is and always has been completely free.
Yeah.
See, even with it being completely free, people did nothing but complain about lack of content. So with Beyond being $20 and having a fraction of the content Operation Harsh Doorstop did on release, I think it's going to follow a very similar trajectory and maybe never make a comeback.
Yeah, it's possible. Except, I think, for Quest.
Think about this. On Quest, if the main player base is children who only own Quest headsets, who's gonna make the mods if no one has a PC?
You're right.
Because the modding tools are only available on PC, and people on PC are gonna be playing on Steam, not Quest. And if there's no reason to play it on Steam, they're not going to make mods for Quest.
I think it'll be a financial success probably because, there are no options like this on Quest at the moment.
The backbone of Beyond Sandbox is the most impressive part, but when games have an impressive backbone, they usually build on that. Source Engine was a incredible backbone for Half-Life. But you see, if Valve just released Source Engine as Source Engine, it would not have been popular without having a game to play. And right now, it feels like the devs have just released us like a backbone.
That was Arsenal, and you can find his Nexus mods profile in the link below. Make sure to download all his mods, because every time you do, he gets 1/10 of a cent. Now, as always, I'm sorry this video is terrible. It just kind of turned out that way. Thanks for watching.